Hello and welcome to the Irish Hunting Podcast, brought to you by myself, Brendan Maguire, and Anthony Grogan. We're going to be bringing you all the best hunting, fishing and field sports from around the country. And we're back with episode 43 of the Irish Hunting Podcast. On this week's episode, we will be discussing the arrival of the birds. That's right, pheasants are incoming. We'll be just chatting about how we're going to prepare for them over the next couple of weeks and what is involved in getting them ready for the release in the coming months. We'll also talk a little bit about some of the messages and correspondence we've got from people who are getting some serious hardship in getting gun licenses lately. We'll also be talking a little bit about gun dogs. And on this week's Let's Talk Gear section, it's the turn of the Infrared i3 Max. Hope you all enjoy. Anthony Grogan, how are you getting on, lad?
How are you, Brendan Maguire? What's happening?
Not a whole pile, man. You're below in Galway still?
Still here, man. Still here after one devil of a day. But anyway, we're getting there. How are you keeping?
What's the most Irish question of all? What's the weather doing where you are? What time is it where you are?
Yeah, it's not raining anyway, which is a fucking start for this week, isn't it?
Be the Jez, that's a bonus, man. That's a bonus. Yeah. There's been some weather.
We're going to have some amount of ducks around anyway. Come September, I think there'll be plenty of ground for them anyway, isn't that it?
There'll be no shortage of places for them to go anyway, and that is a cert. That's an absolute cert. Washout is right. Come here, the title of today's podcast is The Birds Are on the Way, but we want to have a chat first about clubs, what's been going on before we delve deeper into what's been going on in your club, what's been happening over the past couple of weeks. I'm sure it's fairly busy now at the minute.
Yeah, look, it's been no more than your own. It's hugely busy. We've a new pen going up at the minute. That's been finished hopefully on Sunday in preparation for the few poults coming, and like that we've been doing a little bit of fundraising and stuff like that. So like we do this spot the ball thing. I think I told you about that, didn't we?
You
Christy,
did. Yeah.
Christy Malloy actually recommended the Bell Christy. Fair play to him. He gives plenty of good pointers.
Man, Christy.
Yeah. So we run that every week. And that brings in a kind of a very small but continuous kind of revenue stream, which we're finding quite good at the minute.
Yeah.
Sorry. And then we got some poles, some big treated poles for the pen. We're making a really. It's actually on Derry Game and Conservation page there. I think I shared it on the page as well during the week. And we're doing cross members on it now on Sunday and wrapping the top of it with wire as well. So it's going to be a nice, robust pen, and that'll provide us with a secondary pen now. So, look, we're making headway.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Very good. Good stuff. Yeah, I seen that on Facebook. I briefly had a look at this morning. That is a good looking pen. That is the job, man.
Yeah.
You got a good bit of help down there. I see some. It's good to see a group of lads out doing a bit.
Yeah, look, it's probably similar to most clubs. It's probably the same lads. In fairness, unfortunately, it's the same kind of lads that gave the dig out with the first pen. I've been in and out. I haven't been in hands up on this one. I haven't done a whole pile. We kind of dropped a bit of material down and scoped out the area and kind of arranged a lot of the other stuff for delivery. But I haven't actually done a lot of the physical stuff this one. And I hope to get down just during the week and maybe finish off the small bits and pieces that'll be required just to get it across the line. But by and large, the lads that are down there, same troop, and fair play to them. Look, I think these are the unsung heroes of the clubs around the country. And I think it's similar to your own club, Brenny, in terms of the lads that generally give the dig out are the same lads every year, unfortunately. But
absolutely, yeah.
And even to the vermin control aspect, kind of we've maintained that obviously throughout the season. Even the mink traps are out now because this one's close enough to a stream, so that's has a couple of mink, but we try and control throughout the year. But Obviously, it's highlighted by the fact there's going to be a pen not too far away from it, so we have the couple of traps out, and hopefully we can keep on top of them guys as well.
Yep, that's a big part of it. That's very important. If you don't, you can put in all the work in the world, but yeah, you definitely need to keep on top of that anyway. And especially, I'd say there's no shortage of food this year for foxes at the minute, but all it takes is a couple of cold nights, the weather to change, a bit of a change. There's obviously loads of growth out. There's farmers spreading slurry by the new time, which we all know they'll dig out worms and stuff, and that hedgerows and grounds are full of birds. So I don't think that the foxes are particularly under pressure for food at the minute. But yeah, one shift in the weather, and that'll all change. And they'll be hunting and hunting a lot more.
Yeah,
So yeah, that's
and I
that's
think even the last year, Bernie, you probably, I think we said this, like winter this year wasn't really a winter, was it? Like we didn't get,
no.
I think did we get one or two
We, we,
kind of
we
weeks of kind of frosty weather, didn't we?
Yeah, we got a bit around kind of towards the end of November and into December a little bit. We
Yeah,
had a little bit, but yeah, by and large, that was not. No, I'll tell you one thing: there's not a massive difference in it in the weather we're getting out there now. To be honest, only it's a little bit
no,
milder now, but yeah, it was sort of on par to this kind of shit we're getting at the minute.
yeah, and that's going to probably help the fox populations in terms of look, they're hardy animal anyway, but when
Mm-hmm.
food is in abundance and the winter isn't too harsh, it makes it a little bit easier on them to be nice and healthy coming into the breeding season, and plenty of food stores and all that kind of stuff. So it's just, I think all the clubs need to be kind of on top of that stuff. Your own club, Brenny,
Mm.
how's things going?
Yeah.
You've kind of a rejigging, is it? You're chairman now, obviously. So what's been on yours?
Well, I'm the chairman. I took over the chairman this year, so there's myself and Ross are kind of looking after the club this year. Ross is kind of looking after the treasury and the stuff with paying the bills and getting in membership and all that sort of stuff. So Damien is still looking after the boards. He's ordering the boards and stuff like that for us. So picking them up, I think in 2 weeks' time, it'll be the second slash third week of August. We'll be picking up the polls. We always get them off the same man, Paul O'Shea, I believe is his name, and he's down in Mount Mellick in County Laois. Been dealing with him for
Okay.
years. Always got phenomenal birds. Pretty sure he has a Facebook page as well. There, you can have a look at it. Always got on well with him. Looks after us. So we'll be picking him up in about say 2 to 3 weeks time. This weekend, we're doing a big work day out in the club on Sunday. We'll have all members out there. I hope. Well, we better have all the members out
Listen,
there.
is better.
If you're listening, you better fucking be out there. If you're not out there on Sunday, don't be out there the 1st of November. That's all I'll say.
There's a good idea, Brenny, isn't it? Like for guys, it should be a penalty, shouldn't there? If you don't do your thing during the year on the 1st of November, you should have a like a sin bin, out for a week.
Yeah, exactly. In the Duns corner.
Yeah.
So we're all heading out there Sunday equipped with all our various bits and pieces for just getting rid of some of the weeds and controlling some of the weeds and the growth that's in the pens, and clearing a couple of paths for feeders. We'll have to get out all the feeders, clean them out, dry them out, top them up, so on and so forth. So that's what's happening this Sunday. We go out there Sunday morning with a full team of lads, and we'll get stuck into it. So yeah.
Come here to me. You've how many members do you have in the club now?
9 members in the club now. Yeah, 9 members in the club. 9 members. Yeah. We were due to have one more, and then he let us know there during the week that he's heading off. He's not going to bother. So
okay.
That's one, I suppose, part of when you're the chairman. That's kind of, I suppose, frustrating in a way, is because you're kind of doing all this stuff, on your own time, running around after lads, and then you get everything geared up for them, get all their forms filled out and signatures and the whole job lot, and send it in, get their insurance card back for them to go, oh, actually, no, I'm not going to join the club this year. That's stuff like that is really
look at it, similar to that. I know exactly the frustration you're going through, because you probably, when you're not the chairman, and I'm not just saying this, you probably not a lot of it, but at least some of it kind of filters by you, because you're not directly at the coalface of it. But unfortunately, as the chairman, or the top of the tree, everything has to filter back through you, and that includes all the issues and problems and politics and so on and so forth. So yeah, I think even myself, I feel guilty. I didn't get down there last Sunday for the pen, and kind of a bit guilty. And but on top of on the side for that, then there's the other stuff that is probably a little bit unforeseen. Not blowing our own trumpets, but that's the kind of stuff that's a little bit unforeseen in terms of making sure all the records are intact. And there's a bit of time goes into that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Checking over, making sure all the money in, money out is correct. Fundraising ideas. I like that, the spot the ball stuff that we're doing. All that kind of stuff has to be arranged, delivered, money in, money out, cards delivered,
Mm-hmm.
and so on. And that's I suppose, the little bit that's probably a little bit um, overseen, as I said, but
Exactly. Well,
a vital part of.
not alone just that, like as well as that, like you have to remember, as the chairman of the club, like you're taking responsibility for that club. It's not just that I'm have the final say in it or whatever. It's that you are taking responsibility, and God forbid if there's ever an incident in the club or something, or it ends up in an illegal thing or in a courtroom somewhere, you will have to be there. It'll be you that's
Yeah.
you're putting yourself up there to be beaten, as the fella says. But anyway, that's it. So that's why you have to fucking cross your T's and dot your I's and make sure everything's in order, as the fella says.
Yeah, yeah. But look,
Absolutely.
it's an honour just the same. I think, look,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
if we do a little bit to progress it a little bit better than, or a little bit further than the lad that handed it to you, and then when you hand it over, he or she does the same thing. I think that's what it's all about. Just keeping the thing going, and especially now with the pressures coming from nearly all angles now, in terms of clubs and stuff. It's good that there's somebody there to take on the mantle. And look, we're relatively new and relatively young in the game,
Yeah.
so hopefully we can breathe a little bit of fresh life and fresh ideas and like that. I think there's you have the bone of 300 polls coming to you.
I have to check the numbers now. What we have this year, actually, to be honest, yeah, I have to talk to Damien on that. Yeah, we usually would get somewhere in and around those kind of numbers.
Yeah,
But as I was talking to a lad during the week who's talking about numbers, it kind of all depends on how successful the year was with some lads and how the availability. I suppose there's no guarantee. You might say, look, I want 200 birds, but come August, there's no guarantee you'll get them. I suppose it all depends on the kind of the year you have too, doesn't it?
yeah, and that's it. Like, look at our thing is kind of move, and I was chatting to we had plans on having a few bred ourselves. Our breeding program kind of was mixed this year, because we got a brand new incubator, didn't do its thing. Now look at that's kind of 50% with the user, 50% probably with the kind of the backup. We didn't get a whole pile of backup from the supplier.
Yeah.
But in terms of that, we kind of fine tuned as the year went on. It got a little bit late. We kind of got it going, but and then we were making. So basically, what we have this year now, we've bought a second incubator. So we're going to use our big incubator next year for hatching a few, and then our second one then is going to be just the mat, the warming mat. So when they're hatched out, of the first incubator, to go into that on the mat, because what we were finding as they were hatching out, one was trampling on the other, and we got quite a few with spread legs, and they wouldn't stand back up again, stuff like that.
Damn.
So yeah, that's our setup next year. So as they're coming out, they're into the mat and they're getting stronger in there, and then a little bit more room, obviously, and then we have small little pens made from plywood with lights and thermal lights and stuff like that, so that we can start transferring the stronger ones into that. So you kind of have a little bit of a it was a little bit of catch up this year because we were, oh geez, we should have done this. Yeah, let's do that. So we have all the a lot of the kinks ironed out this year, and we're hoping that that'll play ball into next year.
Okay.
But yeah, I think we've only hatched out probably less, good few actually. Mallard, hatched out a lot of mallard. But the pheasants are a little bit more finicky, as people would imagine. So we probably have 20, 30 birds hatched out,
Okay.
Which
Yeah, but
is,
that's
look,
good
it's
going.
30
Good going.
more than would have been. And then I think we've just increased our order to, because we didn't know whether we'd have the second pen finish in time. So we increased our order to 85 birds and 30 X layers during
Deadly.
the week there. So, and then we've 100 adult birds coming closer to November.
Deadly, because it's all happening, man. It's
Not
all
happening.
fucking happening. It's all happening. We're going to talk more about gun clubs and stuff and
Yeah.
the boards and all that in a second, but we're going to just jump over now and do the news. Two little bits, I suppose, of news to kind of this week. There's a lot going on, but these are kind of two things just to kind of keep in the back of everyone's mind. I'm going to kick it off first. So this is a post from the Wild Deer Association of Ireland. And it reads, the Wild Deer Association of Ireland announcement. So there's going to be their annual shoot day is taking place on the 27th of August in the Midlands Shooting Range, which we know is in Blue Ball outside Tullamore. Registration opens at 9:30 a.m. and closes at 10:30 a.m. Our shoot is open for members and non-members. Members, I think the price of entry is €30 for members and €50 for non-members. Only full paid-up members get the discount. There's some fantastic prizes on the day, including a rifle and scope, a Mauser M18, bolt-action rifle, and a Minox scope. So that's a nice little prize there. There are a few rules that must be adhered to. You must have a valid deer license for a deer caliber rifle and insurance. You must register at the range and follow their guidelines. All rules of safety officers at the range must be obeyed. So that's a savage little thing. There'll be a raffle and a barbecue on the day. I think that's a deadly idea. You can head down there, and it's a great way of doing a bit of a competition, getting out and getting the use of the range. Before a couple of days before the season starts. So I'm going to try my damnedest to actually go to that, because I think that is a brilliant idea.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Untethered and Wanderwise, where adventure has no age limit. We're your co-host, Heidi Brandist and Nikki Amahundro, and we're here to inspire and celebrate women over 45 who are embracing their independence and want to explore the world on their own terms.
Brilliant, Brenny. Yeah, that's the type of stuff that we want to see kind of publicized. And I think the more of these events that are happening around the country, the more people are get involved in it and get that kind of draw back for hunting.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's a brilliant thing, and a great time to be on. And it's the day after my birthday, so it's just perfect. It's just all adding up.
There you go. You should be well able to go to that now. Get to book that day in, Brenny.
Exactly, man. Yeah.
It's a good way of checking the rifles on point as well. So
absolutely, man. Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt, we'll try that. Over to you next.
Next, I suppose, is the predator battle. We've mentioned this a couple of times, but this is getting very, very close. I've seen Norman in Irish Safaris is getting ready with a few lures he's got there from our friends in Hero Lure Makers. Yeah. We have a couple of them lures ourselves, fantastic lures. So I think they're ready to rock there, and hoping that them lures will bring in the big fish. So and I've no doubt that they will.
Absolutely.
But yeah, for 2023, we take a max of 60 teams to keep it exclusive. So be on time, and don't think you have all the time in the world. You don't. We have 10 new teams entered already, so not all teams of last year can enter for 2023. So this is September 17th, 18th, 19th, and 20th. And 21st of September is the prize given. So it's a big event. I'd probably say that's very close to being booked out, but just give the guys a shout. I think we're invited down to this, Brenny, are we?
We are, yeah. We have to go down. We have to get our boat out. Yeah, absolutely, man. We're going to go down for one of the days. We're not going to enter the competition. We are going to trot around and have a bit of crack and talk to some of the teams, and just see how it goes. We'll get a rod in the water as well for a bit of crack, and we might give us a real good opportunity to test out some of our hero lures as well.
Absolutely. And I think what we will do is we'll go down there, we'll throw the rod in the water, pull the biggest fish out, and run away up the cliff.
Exactly. Do like a mic drop, only a fish drop.
Yeah.
Just walk by everyone and just drop them in the water. Yeah.
There's about 2 chances of that happening, lads. So you shouldn't be worried about.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, look, that's a great. I presume, like that. Spectators can go down and have a dip in and out and have a look at what's going on, I would imagine.
Absolutely, of course,
support everyone that's down there.
Exactly, and of course it's on in Lough Derg, which I think we might have mentioned, Killaloo, which is another beautiful little place, lovely little part of the world there. So yeah, now have you been to Killaloo? Have you a weekend or spent night in Killaloo?
No, I have not. And I know people from down that neck of the woods, but no,
Yeah.
I haven't had the
Mm-hmm.
good fortune to stay there. So yourself?
Yes. Yeah, I've stayed down there a good few times at work. Yeah, yeah. There's and I cannot think of the name of it, but there's a little hotel and it's just right on the waterfront. And if these like you can stay in the apartments at the front and they're all glass and you're it's hanging out over the water. It's absolutely stunning. And people down there are absolutely fantastic. So, yeah,
Brilliant.
Killaloo is, if you're thinking of even going down, just Killaloo on its own is absolutely, it's a beautiful little spot. So, yeah, head on.
Speaking about the Emerald Lady, how's she doing, Brenny? Is she still? We had a little bit of
She
an issue.
We had a little bit. We have to get the keeper back to fix that. So yeah, no, she's grand. I want to get the rod holders on it over the next week or so, and yeah, no, she's flying it, man. There won't be bothering her. She'll be looking mint when we get down there. Try and get this shed up and running, and then I'm going to put a little lean-to off the side of the shed, and we can park her in there, and she'll be nice and toasty and nice and fresh, as the fella says, if lad will ever get time. So yeah, she's going to be she'll be ready. Anybody that's going down there will get to see her in all her glory.
We had a little bit of we were wondering why she was just labouring a little bit, and
She was
we
labouring.
were thinking that maybe it was down to the big pair of buffoons that was trying to push along. But
well, yeah,
on top-
it did kind of cross my mind as like, but I've been in them boats with the same engines with four lads, and it seemed to be every bit as quick, or some of them, the other ones would be every bit as quick or maybe quicker. So yeah, I definitely thought on a couple of occasions it was really labouring a bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, we soon discovered that people will be familiar with these. There's like a tank on the bottom. It's an air tank. I think it's a ballast tank, or it steadies itself up in the water. But because we've a crack in the keel and it's actually filling it up with water, so it weighs about probably, I don't know, 200 or 300 kilos heavier than it should. So
that little Honda was under a little bit more pressure than
he
it needs to
was under pressure, trying to power an IBC tank through the water. So yeah, yeah. But anyway, we know what's wrong with it now, so we just have to fix it. So she'll be grand. She will be grand. But yeah, that. Mm-hmm.
And like that, Brenny, she's if she was doing what she was doing, when we were down there, like if she's going to get better, like even when we were trying to, I remember that they were trying to pull it out. Remember, and I was up the top of my runners, as you know.
Yeah.
And you were behind it, and I was winching, and you were pushing, and the fucking thing wasn't going. And I was, what in the name of God?
Yeah. Absolutely, man. And sure, like there was water running over for 2 days after I got home here, so yeah, that's why.
Anyway,
that's why, man. Yeah, so
teething problems, not
exactly. Look, that's how you learn. You learn from these little things. But yeah.
Absolutely.
That concludes our news for this week. We're going to jump in and we're going to talk about all things going. Well, I won't say all things going to us. We've talked that. I suppose the whole idea of today's podcast, just a bit of a talk. Obviously, all the clubs and most clubs around the country will have either got their polls at this stage or they will be receiving them in the next couple of weeks. So, do you want to talk a little bit about what kind of preparation we make now in the next couple of weeks, from getting the polls to getting them fed and kind of routine to work out and what to be aware of and up until I suppose release time and stuff like that,
Yeah, absolutely. And look, hopefully we'll get, because people will be probably listening to us saying, well, on top of that, now I do this and this, and that's what we're hoping to get the conversation going, even on social media there, to get people talking and chatting with it and saying, look at. On top of that there, lads, I always find this beneficial, or the likes of, Shane has shed a nice bit of a light on in terms of what we need to get done and what you should be doing. But there's always little tricks and of the trade that people will be hopefully able to pass on to our listeners and our followers on social media and stuff.
Absolutely. Yep.
So yeah, look, do you want to kick it off then, Brenny? What's the do's and don'ts? You're going down to this week to get the pens trimmed up and in shape, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah. So yeah, I think, what does the birds need, right? They need a dry footing, they need a bit of shelter, they need food, and they need water, and it needs to be predator proof. So essentially, and obviously you'll have to monitor them and probably give them worm dose and stuff. But yeah, so obviously there's weeds growing well up through it now, so we need to cut down as many of the weeds as we can. We do sow a bit of corn or barley on the floor of it to give it spout, so it gives them something to pick at as well,
Yeah.
So we'll do that. Then all our, we've stands and stuff for them so they can get up off the ground, purchase. So we'll just make sure they're all right. Pull up one or two more to make sure they're up to scratch. With our pen, we have areas of shelter, and what we always do is we always have an extra couple of sheets there that if it's a particularly wet time of year or whatever the case may be, that we can add to the area of actual shelter if needs be, I suppose.
Yes.
Check it, go around and check it again, make sure there's no holes or gaps that a pine marten's either going to get in, or a fox or the pheasants are going to get out of, or a buzzard or something, so you have to that's one thing you need to be on top of.
Yeah, so first things I suppose is you check the periphery, the pen, isn't it, and make sure your if you have your electric fence up, all the strands. Again, we did. I don't know what you guys do. You have a kind of like the plastic poles, or did you drive a couple of decent poles for the fence and stuff like that? Do you have electric fence around yours?
Yeah, we've electric fence around ours. We have a mixture of pencil posts and white kind of insulated posts. Yeah,
Yes,
and
yeah.
we run. What do we run? 4 strands of wire. 4 strands of wire, about maybe 6 inches apart. And one of the portable, the electric fence is just basically the battery that you don't need mains power to plug it in. Yeah, so we have one of them, and we always make sure it's beside the door, and remember to turn it on or turn it off when you're getting in, and bloody remember to turn it back on when you're going.
Going out. Yeah, similar to that, we drove nice big stakes. Actually, the uncle there, Paul, is a landscaper, so he's a post driver and stuff like that. So we drove nice posts the whole way around it, and he pulled 4 strands of good bull wire around it, and he tensioned it all. So it's a kind of like it's a semi-permanent job, and I like that hook on we've one actually mains powered because it's close to his shed, and then the second one now we're buying a second fence for the second pen, and I like that. Just go around, check all the wire, make sure there's no breaks or breaches in it, because obviously the fence has been off for a while now with the things being empty and stuff, and you could have old mink and stuff like that, or foxes maybe trying to root around or pull at it, trying to get in at something. So just check all them, make sure that she's the roof as well, the netting is still intact.
Mm-hmm.
And I think big thing as well is the roofs. I think from the limited experience that I have in the pens and stuff, get some nice roofs there. Encourage the birds to get up off the ground. Get them elevated. I think, or get them encourage them to get elevated.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what's going to protect them out in the wild. Hopefully, give good sport to the lads that are looking for it, and then keep them agile and able when they're out, trying to avoid some of the predators we're trying to keep them away from.
Absolutely, yeah, definitely, man. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, all that is very important. We touched about feeders and stuff like that. It's good I think it's great practice to always clean them and disinfect them from one year to the other, before you put them out, to make sure if there is any sort of bacteria or contaminants that it doesn't spread from one year to the next. So give them all a good cleaning. Another thing that it's worth noting in a pen is rodents, rats. Like, I don't know what, we've had some fucking horrendous issues with one pen in particular, with rats right down the edge of a wood, man. And it was nearly gone to the stage we kind of abandoned it for this year because they're just fucking everywhere. So, so that's another issue, and like they'll cause their own drama, as the fella says. So yeah, definitely fucking set plenty of traps and get as many of them out of it as you can, because
and even in the off season, wonders there's things that you could do, like maybe get a couple of cats into the pens or something. I don't know if it's any your cat peeing and pooping in the owl pooping. Do you hear me? I'm being.
Is there some of the kids there besides, or something?
As Shane O'Neill would say, shitting in the pen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
but like that, yeah. And even I tell you one thing, wouldn't it be? But again, it's probably they wouldn't have the opportunity. Some of them terriers down there to do a bit of a clear out. I think would be great.
Yeah, it would, honest to God, yeah, 100%, yeah, it would be the right job. I'm thinking back of your man, what's your man's, the Vermin, Basher, or whatever.
Yeah.
Fucking field day in somewhere like that, But it's just another thing that's worth noting, just to try and eradicate as many of them as you can, because they'll eat as much grain, they'll fucking shit and piss all over the feed, it comes with its own fucking health dangers.
And there's a thing actually, Brenny, what we could do probably next year. I know it's a little bit late this year, but even if we bait the pens, and go in, trim the pens early, bait them, and then go down there when we do manage to get our air rifles maybe next year.
Yeah.
Go down, and that'd be a good bit of sport, wouldn't it?
Absolutely, man. Yeah, be the right job.
Slap
Yeah.
on the night vision, and you could be there banging away at rats on. Should be
mighty crack. Yeah, it'd be brilliant.
Great.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, you're fucking putting an idea in my head now.
There you go.
yeah. No, that'd be a good one. That'd be a good one. Another thing we do, I'm not sure if all clubs do this. We always have a disinfectant bucket just outside the pens. Do you know, like what you would have seen during kind of foot and mouth times? We have one outside each pen, so that if you're going from one pen to the next, if there's that, you're not bringing anything in or bringing anything out. I suppose, if that makes sense.
Very
just
good. Good.
Just disinfect the feet and stuff before you go in and when you come out.
That's a very good idea.
Yeah, it's just one of those little things, man. It's just small little things, but it can make an awful difference. If you're after, like, pheasants are not exactly expensive, and I think the majority of club funds, as most people know, will go under birds, and if that can be an awful pity if like something so simple as a bit of a disinfectant might save an awful lot of the fatalities, like.
Yeah, and I think again last year, I don't know whether you guys we just when you have a few trees with branches with foliage and stuff like that, decent. And we doubled up because obviously we were making our way to the pen, and we had a lot of overgrown areas that we were trying to trim back just for access and stuff. Anyway, so we had some nice like lumps of branches and stuff that were foliage, and again we kind of propped them up against the roosts and that gave them a little bit of picking and a little bit of foliage, and again make it as kind of as natural an environment as you can.
Absolutely, yeah. Great job.
Keep them amused.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you have to, man. 100%. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Come here, water. Then we discussed there as the feeders. Good idea. Get the feeders all washed out. And I think now is the time to do all that type of stuff. Get them all washed out.
Absolutely.
So come near to release time, you can just go out, top up the feeders, and away you go. You're not trying to do 3 jobs all at the one time. So, that's after putting an idea in my head. I'm going to do a kind of a schedule for the next couple of weeks, or that'll have to be done, and try and put a name beside each one, and kind of, if everyone does one small job, it just means that on the weeks leading up to the season, that you're not just snowed under and taking the good out of it.
No, 100%. And it goes back to, I think, what we spoke about before in a previous podcast. We're talking about setting up your gun club and your pen, and that's where, like, when it comes to checking stock, whether it's topping up feeders, drinkers, whatever you have to do, like location. Like, we had in our club, we had 3 pens. Now we've whittled it actually down to 2, because one of the main reasons, one of them obviously is there was a rodent infestation, but aside from that, geographically, man, it was just in a fucker of a position, because like, for most lads in the club, you get an hour in the evening, especially in the winter, like when it's fucking dark at 4:30, and we all more or less work from, we're gone all day, like, so if it's your turn, if you have to do it on a Wednesday, well then, right, I'm trying to fucking fly up the road from Kerry, and I might get to the pen at 7:30 in the evening, and then you have to get out, drive to the van, get out, walk down through 4 fields, while dragging a fucking bag of barley and a 20-litre drum of water. It was in hindsight, it was a kind of a crazy idea, So that's why we decided this year, no, there's no need for that. So our 2 pens are one is literally right at the back of one of the farmyards, and then the other one is a fairly straightforward runs, kind of straight down through the field. So yeah, you could do it with a quad. You could walk to it either, but it's just handier, man. You know what I'm talking about. Like, it's
I think, look, this is one of the things that took us a while. Like, we're in that position now where we've actually chosen the location and got up probably two years hand running. So, like that was one of the big things. Like, because again, we had loads of different spots where we could have put the pen. One of the first considerations, I suppose, is obviously access. Can you get in and out of that easily? And then the second thing, and vitally as important, is it kind of what would you say? There's a few people down beside us that you wouldn't necessarily trust if they're walking by the pen, that they wouldn't open the door. So
absolutely,
you have to have it far enough away to make it a kind of a an issue for people to get at. The traditional Joe up, and then but close enough that you can throw as you say, 20 kilo bag in your back and get to it without too much kind of hassle, and then obviously we've protection a little bit from prevailing winds and stuff like that, with a little bit of shelter, and yes, there's a couple of things. I think what I would advise, just coming from our own point of view, is just don't rush into just, there's a spot there, get a pen up there, think about it, access, shelter, theft and stuff like that, and vandalism, and then obviously predatory. Like ours is, there's a stream not too far away, but obviously it's not on the bank of a stream or anything. So, like that, the mink or the pine marten or whatever, will have to, especially the mink anyway, will have to work to get its way across.
Yes.
And that'll give you your chance to get your traps set up to hopefully intercept them. Whereas if it's close enough to a water source, you're going to find it very hard, to have baited traps close to your pen and then close to the river. And they're going to say, they're going to smell them pheasants a long time before they smell the bait. So, or they might confuse one with the other. So I think that's a big consideration. And fresh water then as well. Another thing, a water source. Like, again, we've a quad, but like that, you want to be able to transport water pretty easily down, because they need a good replenishment of fresh water kind of bi-daily, or definitely twice or 3 times a weekly, depending on how many of them you have in the pen and stuff, And do you elevate then the drinkers then, Brenny, or what way do you do it?
No. Our drinkers are like they're like a 20-litre drum basically, and you turn it up and they can pick away, like the normal kind of poultry drinkers.
Yes. Yeah.
And then what we do, say on the last pen, on the big pen, we actually have water. We've piped a tap down beside it, which is great.
Brilliant.
And then the other pen is quite close to the yard, so there was water there as well on a tap. The one that we're not using now anymore, which was down in the forestry side of things, we had an IBC tank that we used to fill, and we'd bring it down and we could top up water out of it as well. But I think that's the whole thing. And obviously we touched on another podcast, but that's what we're kind of getting at as well, with the pens and stuff like that. Even, and especially lads that are out there, which we know a good few of, that this is their first year and they've kind of set up a club in the last year, and you'll learn some amount this year. You'll learn a serious amount, and I think definitely the location is so crucial. Like, so make it as handy as you can, because if you get to August, so you have 2 weeks in August, you have 4 weeks in September, you have 4 weeks in October, and then you'll be letting them out probably, depending on between October and November. So you have 6 to 8 weeks at least of having to go someone down there pretty much every evening, checking on them, topping up drinkers. It's a lot of work. Trying to divide that up between, if you've only 5-6 lads in a club, that means, you have to do a day and a half, or do you know what I mean? You have to doing over a day a week. And of course, every lad that's working will want to do the weekend slots, because it's probably the only time they will have. But unfortunately, there's only 2 days in the weekend, so which means other lads will have to go out during the week. But I think that's put some serious thought into that. Do you go out? Do you do up a roster for people to go out? Like, no,
it's landed with this kind of just by for the last couple of years, because again we're constantly, just at the minute anyway, we're chasing our tail, because there's always, we're trying to get like for the last 2 years now that we've tried to get a pen up and run, which is no mean feat. Get the location, get the pen, get the materials, and you're trying to do it on a budget and trying to get everything arranged. So we're constantly kind of catching our tail. But I think I'm actually, after this podcast is finished, I'm going to do up a list of jobs that's going to need to be done around the club, like that, the feeders, cleaning them out. If somebody, even one person did that, then you could have a second person then filling them, and then that just leaves it just half the workload. It's an hour rather than 3 or 4 hours, for a lad, so and like that, again, anyone that's listening that is setting up their own pens or their own clubs this year, and there is a few of you guys out there, don't be disheartened. This year will not be your most successful year. This will be the start of your most successful year, so and you're going to build towards that. You're going to learn things this year. You're going to make it a little bit easier next year than this year. Like our pen was a mighty success last year because we put a huge amount of planning and effort into it. And like that, we had power close by that we ran across, we water close by that we got across. So that left it then that this year we were free to look at another pen rather than trying to be updating last year's pen. So now we've 2 pens, and we'll hopefully have that kind of nailed down, because once we get the Poults in there, we'll have a little bit of donkey work to do, but we'll make it a little bit easier like that, which hopefully get a bit of water across. We don't have power at this one, obviously, so we're going to do a battery powered fence, but by and large it's going to be relatively easy maintained, fingers crossed. And it's kind of future proof. We got big 8-inch creosoted posts, and we got cross beams as well. So they're all pre-treated, and that pen is going to last. You know what I mean? And so we're not going to have to do too much upgrading to it. And all we're going to do is probably year on year is just try to improve it a little bit, and maybe, as you say, get a little bit of seed in it, to be a bit of sprouting coming on for next year, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We held back a couple of cocks last year, Brenny. I don't think we're going to do that this year.
No.
We're one of the guys actually is going to keep. We had a couple of different breeds. He's going to keep back 1 or 2 cocks himself, just in a small little pen he has out the back, and he's going to take a couple of eggs off that but we're not going to hold back 8 or 10 cocks like we did this year, and then buy in hens and stuff like that. So what we're going to do is we're probably going to predominantly buy in a few eggs off breeders, and just for until we get that part of it up and running. So that was a learning we just took this year, that we might just change next year, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Sure, that's what it's all about, man.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But you learn as you go.
Yeah, exactly. And then, as you said, then in terms of wormers, then you have all that in standby, then, Brendy.
Yeah. We get it there in one of the veterinary supplies. So it's just it's a worm dose that you add it to your drinkers. And as I said, I think Shane touched on it before. You'll know if they need a worm dose. I think you can just give it to them anyway. But you'll know if they do this kind of a sneezing thing, you'll hear it. Yeah. I think most lads that'll be rearing pheasants or have been around them will know what I'm talking about. So dead simple, man. It tells you how to do it. You just add it to the water, and provided they're drinking it, it clears it up straight away. So I think it's fairly straightforward. That end of it. Of course, weather has a massive effect on birds too. Like we had, as we said, a fairly mildish kind of a sort of late kind of autumn into winter last year. Kind of so I suppose I should say probably late summer into autumn. But we had the best probably year we've ever had with pheasants last year. Like, you know, I think we lost. Honest to God, I'd say we got over 200 birds last year. I'd say we lost. I'd say at a guess, we definitely didn't lose any more. No, this is pre-release. We didn't lose any more than 4, which is
that's good going.
They're going and the birds were in fantastic condition out the door. But that was really that. A lot of that is just weather. Like we got a great batch of Poults, which we as I said we always do. The weather played a massive part in that. We didn't do anything untoward, to get them to. We just kept them fed, kept them watered, and we were at the mercy of the weather and the conditions. And it worked out. So yeah.
And come here, just on that, just in terms of the wormer, do you know, or do you add the wormer from the start when you get the Poults, or do you wait and maybe keep monitor them and do it as a reactionary process rather than a precautionary? Or
well, I think last year when we got them, when they started to get on a bit, I think you have to be. Maybe now, don't quote me on this. I think you may have to wait until they're at a certain size or age or weight or whatever. But we just noticed at one stage last year, probably at a guess, probably somewhere around the middle of September, there was a couple of them sneezing, so we just got the worm dose, just gave it to the whole lot of them, and then that cleared them all up, and they absolutely flourished.
Very good.
Keep them fed. Keep them fed. That's another thing. When you start, when they're young and you put them in, you will wonder at one stage for the first couple of weeks, geez, are they even eating any of this stuff at all? Or you'll be almost kind of worrying. And once they start to get a bit of weight on them, you'll go down. They'll be absolutely mowing through the feed. So just be aware of that. That's why it's important to kind of keep going out and keep checking it. Don't go out and say, I should have haven't touched it, and then leave it for 3 or 4 days, then to go out and realize they're absolutely after mowing it. So it's almost like a flick of a switch. they reach a point and then they fucking devour it. So keep them fed anyway, you know.
That's good. And like that, I seen some water feeders are elevated. I don't know whether you ever seen them. They're kind of like suspended. Do you ever see them ones?
Yeah.
They're not walking and that type of stuff. I think that's a nice idea, especially if the ground underfoot tends to be a little bit wet at times. So that's another good idea. Again, we have suspended poles going across, so we can do that if necessary. We're organising the drinkers now at the minute. And a padlock obviously on the gate is nearly essential in the times that we live in. So it's some, because I think there was a few instances, wasn't there, last year, where pens got raided and kind of vandalized in terms of just opening the door and letting them out, you know, and people not understanding that they probably were in their own mind saving birds and ended up massacring them. But that's unfortunately a little bit of ignorance on their part. So
100%. And I go back on what we said a while ago as well. Like, honest to God, in the times we live in now, like that is right. As essential, I know you could think this is a plug for a camera company, but it isn't. But as essential as a feeder or a drinker or whatever, I would be urging every gun club out there, for the sake of €200, get yourself a trail camera and set it up, because the more commonplace that it is that people know that this is something that gun clubs actively do, then it'll be above anything else. It'll be a fucking deterrent for the likes of these people that think they're doing good by going and letting out pheasants. Do you know what I mean? Because if you catch them, that is those pheasants are your property, and it's no different than them breaking into your house and stealing your phone. They'll be held accountable for it. So I think it's we use it. We have one out in our pens, and we put them there, and anyone goes by that, we'll see them straight away. And the beauty about it is, unlike a CCTV camera, they don't know the fuck where it is. You know, so
brilliant.
Such an essential piece of kit, you know. I definitely, you know, they're a great job, you know.
Yeah, and like that, I think I mentioned on social media there, you know, we reviewed the Spy Point Mini there a couple of weeks back, and we're going to be field testing its older brother, I think, if I'm okay to say that, the LM2. So
yeah, absolutely.
Next couple of weeks, and looking forward to that. And like that, an essential piece of kit around the club, even for vermin control there. It's no harm to have one around the pen, see what's moving around the night time, and you might need to go up and take care of a because like that, all it takes is, you know, a little bit of interest, one builds to another, and they won't be long about finding a way in if they really want to, you know. So
absolutely 100%. And just on that as well, just if you are thinking, you're listening to this and you're thinking, geez, I better get a trail camera of some description, there is loads of variations and options and models out there, but I would suggest to go for one that has a SIM card that works off a network, so that instead of you having to physically go and remove an SD card and upload it to your laptop, you can, if it has a network connection, it will literally take a picture or video of whatever it has detected, and it'll send it directly to your phone. So that is the job. Or other than that, you won't know until you actually physically go out, take out an SD card and upload it to see the results. Whereas at least it's essentially like having CCTV. It sends it to your phone, and you know within seconds, right, there's somebody out with a pen, or there's a fox, or there's whatever the case may be, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's because I think what will happen in the midst of all the madness is going on, the SD card probably wouldn't get checked as often as it should, and then it's probably a little bit too late, unless there's, you know, if there's something after happening. Whereas you could essentially prevent something from happening if you're getting notified.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
And even with thieves, I think they'll probably scope out an area a couple of times before they'll make their pounce. So there's a good chance that if they are going to tickle at your pen, that they'll probably come down and scope it out a little bit before that. So it's good to have that information on hand.
Absolutely.
What else is there then, Bernie? Look, I think the we've touched on probably the before, the during, and then do you in terms of then release then for the polls? Do you bring them out and release them yourselves, or do you have like a a release pen, or what way does it? What way does yours work?
No, we don't really use a release pen now. We would bring them out in stages. We would, we would, what would you say? We'd be fairly consistent with our vermin control throughout the year. We'll do 1 or 2 drives before we release them to get any remaining foxes that stay out. Now, you'll never get them all. So what we usually do is we would usually let a couple out at a time, maybe 20 or 30 out at a time, give them a few days, see if they're getting up, you know what I mean? See if they're perching, keep an eye on it, and that kind of gives you a sort of a general view or a sort of an idea on how the rest of them are going to go. We'd always let them out. We'd bring them out in crates a couple at a time, dot them around different areas of the club, make sure there's plenty of roost for them, plenty of cover for them, and plenty of feeders. And that's the most important thing. Get them all up off the ground, and then released them. And I seen one time and I thought it was fucking hilarious. Lads were releasing pheasants and they brought them up and they were on the edge of the field, and they open up the trap. And where did the pheasants go? Up, out over the hedge and out into land that wasn't part of the gun club. So be mindful of where you release them, as in let them try. You can kind of almost direct them into areas that you kind of want them to go within reason. I mean, I know they'll move, but So it's just one of those things to be.
And just a question, I suppose, for people out there. This is where, I've early doors in my hunting career, there was the first pens that I was ever involved in. Like, when I say involved in, I was joined I joined it late in the day. All the pens were erected and stuff, and I didn't know much about hunting. I was only a young fella, but they had, do you know, the funnels and stuff where the pheasant can back in or can go out, but nothing can get in. If you know the one I'm talking about.
I do.
And I'd like to know, I suppose, the benefits of that. Do people see, in other words, if they're only going out in dribs and drabs, is there a better mortality rate? Obviously, it gives the bird a sanctuary. Then, if they're trying to get away from vermin, they can go back in and roost at nighttime there. So I'd like to know people's opinions on that, or have they had much? I'd suggest that them funnels and stuff will be very susceptible to, and I might be completely wrong, mink or pie marten.
I'd imagine so now, definitely, with the numbers having skyrocketed. I think that's probably why maybe a lot of people aren't using them at the minute, or fucking buzzards. And 100%. I honestly don't know the answer to that question. It's just we've never really done it. We've always just kind of released them. And I think when you release the first 3 or 4, there's no better sign than seeing them heading for a tree. Like, that's, that's great to see that, and give them that bit of persuasion to get them up off the ground and get them up roasting. I think that's it's great to see that.
And your crates, then you obviously put them into a little bit of cover so they can kind of rummage around a little bit first, and then without just coming out of the box and flying like the bejesus, as they say. We'd have them in our crates. We'll bring them out to a kind of one or a couple of areas of the club. We've a couple of bog and heather and stuff and forestry and stuff. So we'll kind of let them out, ease their way. But 9 times out of 10, to be fair, they'll get up and they'll know. They have it. They kind of have that kind of built into them. They know you wouldn't have them just standing there looking at you. Let them out. They take off like the clappers.
They will fucking take off. So it definitely seems to be worked for us anyway.
Good stuff. I was chatting actually. Shane O'Neill actually set me up with a man down in County Laois, and he's a religious. Actually, I was just talking to him last night. He's a follower of the podcast. He said I wait for it to come out every week. A man by the name of Ed McAvoy, and has most kindly said to us he's going to drop the birds up to us next week.
Okay.
And he's going to put the bits in their beak and stuff. He's going to do that for us, and he's going to organise a few hens if he can. So, big thanks to Ed and to Shane for putting me in contact. He's a gentleman, and really appreciative of what he's doing. He's a small, I hope he doesn't mind me saying that, but he's a small breeder. So he's down in Port there, and he's a couple of incubators going there, and he's hatching out a couple. And I was just chatting last night. I think this is very, very important. I think we should get back to this as important as the big breeders are, and they a huge role to play in and all that kind of stuff. I think the smaller breeders dotted around the country have equally, because they're they're the it's no different than in the building industry, you know. They're the guys that and girls that keep kind of the truck moving, you know, in when things don't. Like for instance, if one of the bigger um suppliers had an issue, you know, be it with disease or whatever, you know what I mean, and that's not beyond the realms of. It's good to have these guys that are, you know, filling in the smaller gaps around the country, and maybe not fulfilling all the requirements. Like we're getting 100 off another man, Stuart, up in Donegal there, come October, but we're hopefully supporting a smaller breeder here, locally, and they're the guys that kind of will infiltrate the bits in between, and you can fulfill an order with using 2 or 3 different breeders if you want.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. Yep, 110%, man. Yeah.
We're actually getting fair play to him. He's a range of different pheasants. So like that for our poults, we're getting his melanistics, Scotch ringnecks. So we're getting 4 or 5 different breeds here, and we're really looking forward to it. There's going to be all different breeds in it. That's going to hopefully, you know, give a vibrant new stock around the club, and even for people who are not into the hunting and shooting, they're going to see different types of pheasants around the locality this year that they probably didn't see in the last number of years. So I think that's going to be an exciting thing for the club, and hopefully for people listening that see a couple of these pheasants around, they'll know that we played a small part in hopefully getting them out there.
Absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, man. Yeah. That's I couldn't agree with you more there. Yeah, and it's like that. It's very important to be keeping all these lads going, because it's for the small breeder out there. Even the conversation it starts, I suppose. Do you know what I mean? Like with having a massive big breeder there in a huge big, you know, saying industrial unit, or do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
And where no one kind of seems to know what's going on. But like when you have the smaller lads out there and they're rearing a couple of birds, and they're, you know, people know about it and it talks, and it gets the whole conversation going, I suppose, isn't it?
Absolutely. And then it's a small little micro business. Then aside from, I think we preach it here on the podcast. You know, we know how much money the licensing brings into play, but here's a situation where, you know, we're not talking about huge money. Don't get me wrong, and he's not going to be a millionaire rearing pheasants, but it's another person that's locally. It's a few bob for himself. It's obviously then there's a spin off that I'm sure he has. A few adult birds coming on, and then there's feed and supplies and farm supplies and stuff like that he has to purchase in his locality, and that again feeds the community in that area, you know, like a little bit, you know, it contributes anyway, you know. So and that's I think we hear the government talking about supporting local and small businesses, and I think that's the real kind of small businesses that we need to be protecting, because, you know, when all like it's not beyond the realms of possibility. You know, we're obviously Brexit this year, I think, is going to impact, you know, some importation of birds until they get all the paperwork and stuff sorted. So that's going to be you might have an issue over in France, like we did probably touching on last year with bird flus and stuff. So like if all that fails, we still want to see pheasants on the ground, and pheasants that are reared in Ireland, in my view, are better pheasants for Ireland, you know, because they're a little bit more acclimatized to our weather, or, you know what I'm saying, they'll be a little bit stronger. That's my uneducated view on it, you know.
Yeah.
You know, like if you're bringing a bird over from France, and you know, it's 30 degrees over there, and, you know, they haven't really had, they're not going to see too much frost, and, you know, so and obviously, you know, whereas a bird that's bred over here is probably going to have that little bit more resilience, I suppose, built up, you know.
Yeah, absolutely, man. 100%. Yeah. More of that. Definitely more of that. I agree with you there.
That's Anthony's rant over for this week.
Keep it local, as the fella says. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, 110%. What time, when you are going, say, release times, is it kind of the wind and weather as well, or do you pick a date, or do you kind of tend to keep it something similar every year? Or?
Look, as you probably know, historically, it was adult birds, Brenny. So, and before we had the pen last year, it was just adult birds release, which wasn't too successful. So it depends. Last year we got the birds, I think, in September, I think, October, in around that. And we kept them for the couple of weeks in the pen, and then we phase released them, you know, in 25s or whatever. And now, this year, obviously, with the Poults, it's going to be slightly different. So, because we're going to have, we're going to have more birds. So we're going to staggered release, obviously. And then like that, it will be weather dependent. Then we'll probably release, I think we'll do it in we're going to have 200 birds this year, which is obviously double the amount that we had last year. So again, we'll probably do them in phases of 30 or 40, in around that, maybe let out 25, see how they, as you rightly said, keep an eye on them, maybe utilize that couple of weeks then for a little bit more vermin control, you know what I mean? If there is predators around, maybe we might do a couple of nights then, just having a nosy around, seeing what the predators are making of the newly released birds and stuff. And then try and phase release them thereafter, to ensure that we're not getting caught on the hop.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, we can, as I say, a couple of weeks before we'll kind of sort of phase release them as well. We'll and then we might keep a few back and kind of halfway during the season in case you get an outrageously bad run of weather or disease or whatever the case may be. So we don't let all put all your ducks in a row, or do you know what I mean, or all your eggs in one basket. So we'd hold back a few, and we kind of let them out in dribs and drabs as needs be. Keep them fed, keep all the feeders fed. We always say a bird will only go to an empty feeder once. So yeah, that's kind of it, and just keep on top of the vermin too, because no point going to all the rounds and a heap of big fucking hefty foxes going around the place,
Yeah, and I think that's what there's nothing that'll draw them in like an influx of, if you can take it, like, sure, it's like a fast food outlet for a fox. You're releasing 20, 30 birds, and if there is foxes locally and stuff, like, they're going to pick up that scent pretty quickly if they haven't been picking it up before that, and they're going to come into that area, and they're not going to keep it a secret. They normally bring a few mates with them, so it's important that, right up into the season and even during the season. I think this year I'd like to, historically, probably the vermin has taken a back seat in the middle of the shooting season, but I think just this year try and encourage lads now to do another couple of nights and couple of drives throughout the season. Maybe take a, if we come to the second release of birds, maybe we might do that Sunday instead of people going out. Might do that as a fox drive, maybe, and leave the birds alone, and that'll give them it'd be double whammy. You're getting on top of the vermin, giving the birds a little bit of a chance, and helping them in their plight, as they say. And but like that, last year I tried to do that last year, and we got short shift from one or two lads. Oh, look, season's short enough, without stopping it for fucking fox and stuff. And I'm there like, Jesus.
yeah. That's you. If you don't, it'll be a lot shorter. Huh?
Yeah, but like, you'd like to say that, but look,
I know.
You know yourself. You're trying to keep the political side going. So if
and that's a big thing too. You have to. I think one thing I wanted to sort of take on board as becoming the chairman of the club, but just to keep a nice, calm, relaxing club. There's an absolutely zero point in causing arguments or drama, or, do you know what I mean? Just kind of every lad's there. He wants to enjoy a bit of hunting, so just get on with a bit of hunting. Just do what you're asked to do, and like that, it comes to, like, you have to understand too, like, lads, if they can't do things on a certain day, if the families, kids, and jobs and whatever else, things crop up, and that's just a part of life, and you just have to kind of get on with it, as the fella says, just as long as everyone's doing their fair share. And if a lad can't go out to do it today, it was right, sure, look, no hassle at all, sure, maybe will you go out maybe tomorrow, do it, and
look, we've probably looked similar to your own. Like, we've guys, like, for instance, there's on the spot the ball raffle stuff, we've a guy there, doesn't have a whole pile of time at the weekend, but he sells a good few of them, so he's doing his thing in one, and then another lad like that, manufactured the L boxes for his Connor there, so, like, and then, what I mean? So if everyone does their little bit, I think, like, we're in a club, so everyone's sympathetic to that. I think it's just probably, there becomes a time where I think that the spotlight starts to get shone on the same individual or individuals, and then you start to say, hold on a minute now, like, any lad can get caught out once, twice, three times, or even, I'm going through it at the minute where obviously there's newborn baby on board here on top of the other couple we have. So it's kind of like, it's a busy time. So I won't be as available. Even in my hunting, I'm not available. So, like that, I think there's I contribute in other ways for the time being, and then when she's a little bit older now, and in a couple of months' time, I'll hopefully be able to put my shoulder to the wheel again and do my bit again. So I think that's what it's all about, and people will fill in for me, and as I will do for them further down the road. That's what it's all about, I think.
Yeah, absolutely, man, 100%. Yeah. I think now is as good a time as ever. Just as well as that, just looking at a book here that our good friend of the show, Christy Malay, and a good friend in general, gave me, and I was just thinking, there's another topic that kind of just break up about, and this was the Joe Irving training spaniels. Obviously, I'm trying to train up Chase at the minute to put a bit of a shape on him, and it is going well to some degree. But yeah, like we're a couple of weeks out. The birds will become, but now is the time when you want to be doing preparation. I would actually be thinking I'm changing my gun. I'm pretty sure I'm changing my gun, and I'm actually going to send it in now. Believe it or not, which I know is a bit of a risky move, but it should be a straightforward change. So, lads out there, maybe this could be your last chance if you're thinking of changing the gun as a substitution. Maybe now is the time to do it. If your dog hasn't been getting much exercise lately, well, kill two birds with one stone. Get out and walk him. He'll be fitter for the season, and you'll be fitter for the season. How many times have you get out with like some of the best dogs ever, and on the first day, man, after 2 hours, they are puffed out, and the difference, when you see them in around December and they hunt and beat all day, so like now is the time when you should be, probably putting in getting stuff in gear, because like a lot of lads, this is kind of all we do. We hunt and we might do a bit of fishing and stuff like that, but
absolutely. Get out and look. The more time spent with the dogs, the better obviously they're going to be, and as you say, the fitter they're going to be. They'll get back into that groove pretty quick. We're obviously going to have hopefully have Pat Brennan on next week. Pat's he's a national and internationally renowned dog trainer, so we'll be doing a little bit more profiling him over next couple of days, and introducing to him to the people who don't know him. But in the dog world, he'd be well known. Looking forward to having him on. And look, if anyone has questions and queries, and no more than myself, where to start, what to do, what not to do, more importantly. If a dog, for instance, my Springer's working a little bit, found last year, a lot ahead of me. How would we correct that? So if there's questions like that, get them into us, and we'll ask them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just do want to say one thing. I want to give another shout. Christy Malay came down to me during the week. He'd heard me last podcast and talking about training the dog. He came down here Monday night. It was late. In fairness, came down, and he had other things to be doing, and he just set me up with a couple of little things just to work with Chase, like your story, how to keep him from running ahead, and a few little bits and pieces. And Christy, you're a gent, man. I really do appreciate you. You're an absolute legend, man.
If he's not dropping us venison sausage and venison chorizo, and
no, honestly, God,
giving us he's look. I think that he epitomizes the kind of the goodness that's in the community. We need more like him, and there is more. It's just, I suppose, what we're trying to do, hopefully, is shine a light on them lads and women that are doing this kind of work, kind of, selflessly. And getting sometimes getting no reward, and sometimes getting a kick in the arse for it,
Absolutely.
So, and that brings us on just on that, Brenny. Obviously, I have an update on the rifle, right? There's a couple of little things, right? Obviously, the rifle's in with Gowan and Bradshaw down here. Many thanks to David down here. He did all the paperwork for the recipient there during the week. The new recipient is going through the FCA 1. His scope was delivered down thanks to James Murta there, who sent on the scope. And then on top of that, a man called Jason donated a set of sticks, quad sticks, and I'm going to just read it out because I like that. I don't have a second name, but I wanted to give him a shout out because like again, it's another. Yeah, he's just well, lads. Listen to this week's pod. Fair play to you helping that man out. Yeah, great. Everyone needs a help now and again. I've a set of Deer Hunter quad sticks used once for my H cap. That chap is more than welcome to have them if he wants them. Thanks, Jason. Really enjoyed the podcast. So I put him in contact with the recipient. They're going to him as well. So and like that, there's a set of, I think you've seen it on Facebook Messenger there as well. There's a set of, and I just want to get his name. Sorry now, and people are Joe Ram. Yeah, Joe is kindly donating a set of Wild Hunter. Like you actually have this set, Bernie, don't you? The night vision set.
Oh, I do actually. Yeah. Jesus Christ of Almighty, man, that's fantastic. That's nearly €200 worth of the set. They're absolutely fantastic. Yeah. Jesus Christ.
We're thinking of doing is obviously. We were both talking to a man down in Cork who's donating his lovely 1.7. Philip in Small Arms Services is going to completely refurbish that gun, do the Small Arms Service overhaul on the gun. And he's going to take in that gun. Hopefully, we're going to try and arrange that this week. And then we're going to set up another person with the 1.7, and hopefully that light as well. We can team that up. Because I think that'll be a nice little setup for somebody. You know what I mean? There's no scope with the 1.7 as of yet, but we have a set of night vision lamp there, Wild Hunter, for hopefully a perspective scope. So and then obviously then like that, which reminds me, I had a missed call from another man who doesn't want to be mentioned, who's donating a shotgun.
Yes,
and I think we're going to definitely over the next couple of days, we're just going to get them two penciled off. So if anyone knows a worthy recipient, I think we almost have somebody for the 1.7. Just want to confirm it, hopefully. And another worthy recipient. And then we'll get somebody for the shotgun, and that'll be 3 new hunters, hopefully up and running in the country before Christmas, which that'll be a fantastic thing to know, that there's not alone only stabilizing, there's a couple of new people coming back into the sport,
Super stuff, man. Yeah, it's just another display of the generosity that's in this community, which is absolutely fantastic.
It's outstanding. And you said you got a book off Christy. There was a book sent to me, and I'm going to have to apologize to it's a book about Teckles. I don't know who sent it to me. There's so many messages, man. I'm trying to trawl through all the messages to find out who sent the book. But I was sent a book on Teckles. I'm going to put a picture up just in the afternoon there. Thank you very, very much for the person that sent it. And I know we have a listener as well who wants to come on the podcast and talk about Teckles. And a very, very interesting breed of dog. And we're excited to hopefully have them on over the next couple of weeks. And look, it's endless the amount of stuff we want to talk about.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, 100%. It's just getting the time to get it all in, but we'll get around to getting them all in and getting everyone up to speed. So we'll have more on the guns and stuff and the packages, and keep everybody up to date. And that's just another thing. It just started off with yourself spontaneously deciding to give it away, and now we're going to have 3 very, very worthy people getting a much deserved little bit of a break in life. So yeah, absolutely fantastic stuff. Before we move on to our Let's Talk Gear section, I do want to just give a little bit of a talk on. I haven't chatted to some of these fellas to see if I can mention their names, so I won't. But we've seen loads and loads and loads bits and pieces coming to light. We had Ross on our last podcast or the one previous, and he was talking about some of the dramas he was having with his firearms application, and they were losing the application, and then there was loads of questions, and they were asking him to adhere to certain things which they don't actually officially have the right to ask him to adhere to. So I don't want to spend too long talking about, but I'm just going to give a little bit of a background into my own story, just in times, I suppose, previous but similar. Back when it was, I'm going to take a guess here, it was around 2009 or 10. Remember when everybody had to effectively reapply for a gun license? The new form came in, the new format, the new way of paying, the new prices. I'm not entirely sure of the year, but I do know when I submitted my firearms application for which was the Mossberg shotgun that I have now. I waited for 9 months and heard nothing back. And I chased it up and chased it up and chased it up. And eventually, when I did ring Leak Slip and asked him about it, I was told, "Oh no, sure, we have to go down and take the gun off you." And now, this talking about like taking a pair of boots off a footballer or their feet, I suppose,
Yeah.
or their arms off a golfer. I was like, it was all I did. I was like, "What are you talking about?" Says, "No, they're not granting you the license." And I was like, "What do you mean they're not granting me the license? What? Why?" I'm not sure. So anyway, this is all true now. You think I'm exactly lying? This happened. So that was on a Friday. I made the phone call, and on the Saturday morning, the guards landed down in the house to take to essentially I had to surrender the gun. And I actually wasn't at home at the time, and I always have the keys to the gun safe with me. And my parents says, "Well, he's not here." And they're like, "Oh, well, he has to surrender." I said, so. Anyway, I rang and I got talking to the guard who wasn't exactly very understanding. And my argument was, I said, "Well, hold on a second here now. I haven't been given I haven't been given a reason why I'm not getting a firearms license." And I said, "B, I applied for that gun 9 months ago. 9 months ago, I submitted my firearms application. I have proof here. I made contact with the guards on 13 separate occasions and didn't even get any correspondence." I says, "About 16 hours after I called you, you're down at my house to ask me to surrender my firearm, and you still haven't given me a reason." So I point blank said, "No, I'm not surrendering my firearm to you." I says, "I'm going to put it into storage. Because if I surrendered it to them, they would have destroyed it." So I says, "No, I will not do that. I'm going to put it into storage." So I went up, still not knowing at this stage what the reason was. So I surrendered my firearm into storage, got a docket, dropped it into the guard station. Maybe a week or two later, got a letter or whatever was in the post, and a kind of a reason and why. Now, I'm not even going to talk about the reason, but it was just the most harmless thing, and something just completely irrelevant. All right, but anyway, so I was asked then. So I had contacted the superintendent at the time, who I don't believe is there anymore. And I said, what's the story? This is obviously some sort of a mix-up here. So I was asked to go up for a meeting. So up I went. I was left sitting out in the waiting room for an hour and 45 minutes. After about an hour and 45 minutes, the superintendent at the time stuck his head in, and he just, not even so much as, "Brendan, come on with me." He just stuck his head out and beckoned me with his head, as in, the head went back, "Follow me." Walked into a big sort of a glass room. Door was closed. He looked at me. He says, "You're bringing me to court." I says, "Well, sorry, I should have said." So after I was refused, I went and saw legal advice, and I believe I was probably one of the first maybe people at the time. I'm not sure if I was, but it was certainly what it appeared at the time. So to have to actually go to court to fight to get my gun license back. So here at the hunt, I went, saw legal advice. A date was set with the district court. And obviously the firearms superintendents would have been notified. So then I was called up for the meeting, like that, an hour and 45 left outside waiting, whatever. That happens, I suppose. And like that, I was beckoned in to come in and sit down and talk. Sat in front of me, feet up in a chair, leaning back. "You're bringing me to court." I says, well, I don't know who I'm really bringing to court, to be honest with you, but I says, I want my firearm back. It's all that I do. I said, I eat, drink, and sleep hunting, and field sports, and there's why wouldn't I have a license? I've never threatened anyone. I've never been in trouble with guards, or So, that was grand. So he said, he says, "I'll tell you." He says, "Just give me a second here now, and I'll see what I'm going to do." He said, "No, sorry." He says, the words that came out was, "Will I bring you to court?" He says, "or will I just give you back the license?" Now, bear in mind that we were due in court the following morning. To which he stood up and walked outside the door, closed the door with his hands still on the door. Then he opened the door and he shouted in at me. "No, do you know what?" he said. "Bring me to court." And he headed off. So this is what happened. So I said, okay. That was the way it was. So anyway, yeah, long story short, next morning I went to court, and basically, it was it was all there. It was an open court district. I don't know. I was never in court before, but anyway, that's how it worked. So I got up, and the judge asked me a couple of questions, and I answered them. And he had a chat with the guards, and he says, "Well, I can see no reason in the wide earthly world not to give you a gun license." So, granted. So that was it. I got my gun license. So I think the whole moral behind this story is that just it doesn't end there. If you've applied for a firearm and it's coming to light an awful lot lately, people are getting refused firearms for various reasons. But if you have been refused a firearm license and you don't agree with it, you can always go and seek legal advice on it. And if I don't have a legal background, but I can only tell you the situation that happened to me. And I think if there's no obvious reason to refuse you a firearms license, then there should be no reason why you wouldn't be cleared up, I suppose.
Important question. What was in the post?
What was in? Sorry.
Remember, you said you got something delivered that was completely.
Oh yeah. Well,
was it pair?
No, it was just a letter. I can't even remember. I think it was a letter just at the time stating that you've been refused a firearms license and to surrender, which I had already done at the time. And I remember. I can't even remember now. We're talking back. We're probably. It's definitely 13 or 14 years ago. But I can't. Obviously, I've never been in fucking trouble with guards or anything like that, or I wouldn't be. I was.
I just said, remember what you were saying about something that was completely.
I can't even. I honestly can't.
I thought it was a pair of fucking.
No,
something you're after ordering there.
No. I think at the time there was. I'm trying to digress. I think at the time there was some argument, some row went on in Eton Derry, and on a night out, and I was tackled for being the instigator.
And you're a peacemaker, no doubt.
I wasn't within fucking a mile and a half where the fight was going on, but because we were similar size and shapes, the man that was creating havoc, I was kind of pinpointed for it and chastised over it. And of course, I obviously. So I think when they take your name and all your details, it's the
what you're saying to me is there's another one of you somewhere fucking around. God, Jesus help us.
God help us is right. Yeah. So.
But I tell you, Brian, the whole thing about that story, like the striking thing about that story, right, was the complete. I would say, like, it was just like the lack of reason. Obviously, is huge. Like, it's just like, for what reason would you want? And then at a time, like, don't forget, like, and we're still in that, where, obviously guards are in short supply, overworked largely, and not visible enough in a lot of areas, which has been in the news quite recently. You would think like that, instead of bringing, like, there you are, like, no criminal records, no reason, like, and as would have that super would have known that he had no reason to bring you to court. Like, it wasn't you weren't bringing him; he was forcing you to court. That's so. I would take that like that. He was bringing you to court. Because you had no choice. It was like, you know what I mean.
Well, I know what you're saying, but I would disagree with you there in the fact that he had made his decision that, I wasn't getting the license. I think that's the point I'm trying to get across, is that, no, in actual fact, I had to bring them to court. It was me. I set the date in court. So it was me saying, no, I disagree with your, and I think this is something this is what I'm trying to get across to people, is you do have that as an option.
Yeah. Like, I think that's look, I would say from a hunting perspective as similar to yourself. Like, it's my biggest pastime, it's my hobby, my passion. So, like, I would see it that I have no other choice other than like, he didn't give you a say, well, if you prove your competency, or if it was an issue like that, he didn't. It was nothing to do. It was just kind of like, I don't really feel like I want to give you that today. No really more than that. And then you were left with no option. And I like what you said then, for anyone that feels that is the end of the road, well, yeah, there is an option. You have to have the day out in court, and you're entitled as a law-abiding citizen in the country to hold the bear firearm. So
absolutely,
obviously legally, and do all the competency and all that kind of stuff. But as that it's in as far as I'm aware, it's in the Constitution, as far as I'm aware. So,
Mhm.
that
Yeah, absolutely. It was.
your
It
right to
was.
bear arms. So,
Yeah.
like that, if somebody wants to, for no apparent reason, I think I was chatting to that chap is donating to 1-7 next week, and down in Cork and seemingly they're having, like, it's essentially his words to me. Oh well, if you're going down in Cork now, you may forget about renewing it or getting a new license, and
Mm.
that's probably a blanket statement, but geez, if it's that hard, and that's the second or third time
Hmm.
um I've been told, and like,
Yeah,
you know what I mean,
absolutely. Yeah,
that's
yeah.
wrong. Like, it is wrong,
Oh
for people
man,
who are.
absolutely. Look, at 110%, it is wrong, and that's why, as I say, like that's there is an option out there. If you are lately, and we have got messages from lads. If lately you've received notification that you're not being granted a firearms license, whether rightly or wrongly, okay, it doesn't end there. If you decide no, I don't agree with that, you still have an option there. That's not the end of the
Yeah,
road. If he or she says no, you're not granting your license, it doesn't officially end there. Yeah, right. You can't get that gun until it goes to the next stage, but it doesn't end there. You still
no,
have options available to you. I think that's the thing I'm really trying to
absolutely,
just get
absolutely.
across. We're seeing loads, and we obviously we're going to do a bit more of a talk about it again, but we are seeing a lot of correspondence from lads where some of the stuff they're asking for now at the minute is fucking absolutely ridiculous, and it's not. It's
Yeah,
it's like as if it's like as if all the stuff they're talking about with the FEC report, a lot of it is already happening. So all these
yeah,
meetings and all this crack, and I know it's brought up in the Dáil and all this, but it's like as if we've been promised there'll be consultation on it. There was a little bit, I suppose, but yeah, we've already jumped 4 steps ahead now, whereas it's getting to the stage we have 3 or 4 correspondents. Again, I'm not going to name them because I haven't spoken to them. We've 3 or 4 correspondents from people now which are stating from 3 separate counties and 3 separate districts, or 4, I think, where it's a question now they want written permission statements from every single piece of land from landowners that you're going to hunt on, which we remember back was something that was discussed. It wasn't even a recommendation. It was something that was discussed in the FEC report. But now
yeah.
it looks like they've already jumped straight ahead, and this is something they're.
But I think on that part, what I would encourage people to do, and like that, I would encourage people not to take this line down, just to challenge that. If you're a member of the NARGC or Country Sports Ireland or the Wild Deer or whatever, right? What I would suggest you do is, and the what would you say, the top brass and all of them organizations will and should help you in this,
Mm-hmm.
is that you can fight this. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
talking about violently. I'm talking about fighting in the right way, in the legal way, in the written way. And I know, especially for a lot of gun owners, will be terrified of ending up in court.
I'm sure no more than myself, man. The
You know what I mean? Like,
Lord, jeez, I never forget. It was one of the most harrowing fucking things
yeah,
I
you've not been there before.
no, myself and Debbie up there, and the whole thing from top to bottom. I remember the local newspaper here in Kildare, or in Leinster, I should say, without giving the name away, but you have a fucking know what I'm talking about. They obviously write the minutes from the court cases, and of course they wrote all the minutes from my court case, and
Yeah,
my name, my address, the details of the storage of the gun, the type of gun, the number of ammunition I would be held, everything. And I rang, and I purposely got talking to the editor, and he was, it was just, oh, it's freedom of information. I can write whatever I want. And I says, yeah, but sure, it doesn't dispute the fact that there's lots of things you can do, but you shouldn't fucking do. And I says, like,
yeah.
how do you think that leaves me feel? Fucking every person reading here knows the exact, to
Location
the,
you're going and
yeah,
ammunition.
to the
Yeah,
minute detail of it. Like I
yeah.
says, like, so anyway, that's aside from the fact, but it's not a nice place to be. But if you're passionate about hunting and you believe that that you're entitled to it, and you don't agree with it, then that's an option that's open to you.
Absolutely, yeah. And like that as well, Bernie. Like there's this is where we're members of all these organizations, and if somebody, for instance, is refused a gun license, on unfair grounds, I would suggest that they go to their local NARGC representative. They will be more than happy to to assist you. If they're not, let us know, and
Mhm.
we'll twist the arm a little bit.
Yeah.
But I've no doubt that if you're in, for argument's sake, if you're in Kildare and you're trying to get your license application, go to your local energy RGC or country sports representative or Wild Deer or wherever, or Fooney, whatever. These organizations are here to help and
Mhm.
further your application, because we're all in this together. So that I wouldn't see it as being, and even like that, when you're filling out the application and stuff, some of it's daunting, and some, you need referral letters and stuff like that. So go to your local gun clubs, go to your local representatives, and get assistance, so that you're improving your chances of getting this first time. And if you don't, then you have somebody and an organization there behind you that'll fight your corner, or help you anyway.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah. And the last thing I'll say on that subject is, remember, you don't take it verbally. You need it written. So if for whatever reason, if you get a phone call to say, look, no, I'm not giving you that license because X, Y, or Z, Stu, that's fine, but you'll have to give that to me in writing.
Yeah,
I need that in writing. So
get everything. So there's no hearsay. You're
No.
getting and that tends to focus the mind. Then, so for instance, if there is a valid reason, well, absolutely, I want to know it. And then, just because there's in the An Garda Síochána's view that there's a valid reason, well, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's 100% valid. It might be a partial bit of the story, or there might be a reason for that, or whatever. So at least if you know. But this kind of thing of no, I'm not today. Like, you're not getting it today.
Yeah.
And look at it. We have similar stories. I think I went in, and when I was getting my rifle, I wanted to actually get a 2.2. This was my thought process. In my mind was, I was at a shotgun. I wanted to get a rifle, to get my deer license, but I wasn't going to start with a high-powered rifle. I was going to get a 2.2, shoot a few rabbits, get used to the rifle. Obviously is different shooting than the shotgun. You have a little bit more to think about, obviously, and it's a different ball game altogether, as we both know. So I said, yeah, get a 2.2. I picked out the 2.2. Did the paperwork on it. Had to kind of go looking for it. Brought me in. Why do you need two guns? Well, I said, look, it was completely open and honest. I'm going to apply for my deer license. In the next couple of years, I want to build up to that caliber of a rifle. I didn't see it as being a kind of with no experience on the bigger power rifles that didn't see it as being a smart move. Just go straight to the high powered one, So thinking of this, I said, yeah, that makes sense. He said, well, sure, look, he said, I'll give you the license for the rifle. He said, if you hand back in the one for the shotgun.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought he was joking. I said, sure, geez, why would I do that, And he said, sure, why do you need it? I said, well, I shoot game and so on. And so I said, I'm going out, I shoot pheasants and ducks and stuff like that during the season. And I said, that's for my shotgun is for,
Mm-hmm.
And I shoot from clays then in the office. Yeah, sure. So why can't you do that with the rifle?
Yeah, that's your deal with. Mm-hmm.
So, and I was there now. This is either a test, or is it, and I started to kind of, to laugh, thinking that, you're not going to catch me out with this one. And he was looking at me saying, like, what are you laughing about?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, oh, geez, sorry. I said, sure, geez. I said, I couldn't be doing that,
Mm-hmm.
He said, why not? I said, well, if a pheasant gets up in front of me and I shoot with the rifle. And he says, yeah. And I said, sure, Jesus. I said, I'd be expecting you to lock me up. I said, if I was doing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so dangerous. Yeah. Yes, there you go.
So, and he says, all right, yeah. Well, look, he says, I actually wasn't a member of a gun club at this stage. He says, if you join a gun club, he said, for a year and come back to me. Now, the thought process in that, I don't know, because I already have, I have a gun license to shoot pheasant on, private land and stuff like that. So I didn't I didn't need a gun club to shoot the rifle. But anyway, that's what I did. I came back to him. I think it was just a way of getting rid of me, see what I actually. So I came back in, back in front of him again. He says, "Yeah, you're back. Yeah, did I not deal with this last year?" He said, "He did." I said, "You told me to join a gun club for a year." I said, "There's me any RGC card. There's the all the paperwork." I said, "I'm going after my rifle," and I said, further to that, I said, I'm going straight for the 6.5. You know, because I do me deer license and all, and so I went from having a shotgun and looking for a 2.2 to having a shotgun and 6.5 at 55.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. No
Because
bother, job done.
I wasn't going to go fucking 3 years, you know, go to 2.2 and then go on.
Yeah.
I said, no, I wanted to get the ball rolling. So
No, 100%.
yeah, that was my story.
Yeah. Look, 100%. And again, you know, I suppose, why did we all have to reapply for licensing, whatever year that was? What was the whole thought process? The whole thought process, and I don't think this is no secret, I think it was quite clearly published, was because there was a lot of gun owners or people out there with licensed firearms that weren't being in use, and they just licensed them because they were their fathers, and, you know.
Yeah.
So what the whole goal behind it was to cut down on the number of firearms licensed in Ireland. And that's why everyone was having issues like what we were having, is because most firearms superintendents' goal was to get you to surrender your guns, because obviously they have powers to be that they have to answer to, and they'd say, right, well, if before we started this process there's 100,000 guns registered in Kildare, now how many is there? And they want nothing better than to be able to go, oh well, I've 30,000 of them surrendered. Do you know what I mean? That was what that was for. So that's why they were doing that. Anyway, we better keep motoring on here, or be the Lord Jez, this will be a 3-hour podcast.
Sorry, we thought we'd have nothing to talk about.
There you go. That happens. That's a growing trend in this podcast.
not us pair of wankers. That's one thing.
That is for fucking sure, without a shadow of a doubt. Grogan, do you know what time it is?
Let's do it.
And now it's time for a little thing we like to call Let's Talk Gear. Rightio, we're back, lad, with our Let's Talk Gear section.
Right, Brandy, you have had this machine in operation for the last number of weeks.
Yes.
Am I right in saying it's an upgrade on your previous one?
No, I wouldn't say it's a newer model, but it's a newer model. I wouldn't say it's necessarily an upgrade as such, but it's just another option, I suppose, that's out there, price wise. And what we're talking about here is the Infrared i3, and in particular the E3 Max. So yeah, I've had this now for about 3 weeks or so. Got it off Dom, sent it up to me from Highland Outdoors. Love it. To be honest with you, I've tried, what's this, our third one to try now, I suppose, of them all. I love the simplicity of this. I love the way they've kind of been listening in. I'm not saying they've been listening to us in particular, but it's obviously some of the feedback and some of the issues we've had with some of the previous models has been a kind of a generalized issue across the board, because they've ratified them straight away. So I suppose, what is the details of this one? It's a handheld thermal, first and foremost. It has 32 gigabyte memory card in it. It'll store 57,000 images or 48 hours of video. Wow. So the best of luck in running through some of that. So yeah, field of view is 7.5 degrees by 5.7 degrees. So it's a good, decent wide angle on it. Yeah, so you get, you know, when you're looking through some of these, you know, you can see there's a good range of view on it. You know, like the field of view you get with a scope. Obviously, it's simple as this. It has Wi-Fi on it. It has microphones, so it'll record your audio as well as everything. It weighs 480 grams, which is ridiculously light. Like for because some of these units are heavy, but like, I think that's just
that's as light as you're going to get, isn't it? Yeah. You know, presumably you get lighter, but in terms of, you know, for the functionality and stuff, what you're getting there, you've sent me on some of the pictures. I think I uploaded some of them on social media there this morning and stuff. Like some of the clarity and stuff is fantastic. So for that type of clarity, and that type of weight, which is important when you're lugging the type of weight we're lugging with rifles. Well, not due so much anymore. Fucking with the super light, but well, I'll be looking around. yeah, like heavy enough rigs. You don't want another couple of kilos hanging around the neck.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not, man. No, so definitely it goes a long way. It does come with a hand lanyard or a neck lanyard. Comes in a nice case. It's kind of designed in such a way. It's for inclement weather, rain, snow, fog, etc. It works absolutely ideal. What are some of the other functions on it? There's literally only kind of two buttons on it. There's like there's an image capture button with the camera. So if you want to start recording a video or stop, or if you use it on a long hold, it'll take an image. And then you basically have like a turret wheel on top of it with 3 position switches on it. So it's just one button. You can scroll up or down. You press it down to select a menu. And then if you want to get out of a menu, you just press the camera button. So 2 buttons is all that's on it.
That's brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Magnetic charging port on it. Now, there's one little thing that I was a little bit hesitant about. I suppose when you think about it, it's not really an issue. It'll have 90% charge in 1 hour. And that 90% will have you over 8 hours of hunting, like, which is loads. The magnetic thing, we're used to, of course, plug in chargers, and we've often leave it till the last minute and decide, on the van on the way, oh shit, I need to charge that. Magnetic charger is not ideal if you're moving around, if it's in a vehicle and it's moving around a bit, it needs to be on a bench, like, I suppose, designed what they're supposed to be doing on your locker or on a table somewhere charging. Now, having said that, it is really like in an hour you have 90% charging, which is fair going,
Yeah. Well, look, if you have a hunting partner like me who gives you a machine that's supposed to be fully charged and then you go out and it's empty.
Hold on a second here.
No, I'm talking about from your perspective. I'm actually being critical of myself.
Oh, sorry.
It's one of my flaws. So for anyone that's not listening, right? In a haste, back in the day, we were testing out the Pulsar back in the day. I think Brenny says, give us a shot now, thermal tonight. And I said, yeah, no problem. Then I, like that, remembered it was in the back of the hunting bag, dead. So raced home, got on charge, fucked off for a couple of hours, took it out, horsed it into the yoke, and I gave it to you, did I? I gave it to you, or you collected it? I can't really remember.
Yeah.
And you went to turn it on, and it's fucking dead.
Stone dead.
So I don't know whether, and I still don't know. I think I could have left it in the sleep mode or something. But
exactly, it could have been. But
that's what I was referring to there. I was being critical for. Look, it's one of my few flaws I have now, Brendan.
One of the very, very few, man. Very few. Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, I interrupted. I digressed.
No, you're 100%. So yeah, just actually on that as well, which some of the older models didn't have, which this have, which is brilliant. When you open up the lens cover on it, that's essentially your on and off switch. So open it up, and it's instantaneously. Open up the switch. By the time you have it up to your right, you're on. You're seeing. You've got your field of view. You're seeing what's out there, and it's brilliant. It's all rounder. I really like it. Essential piece of kit. Price wise, I think in and around. Don't quote me this. In and around the 2,100 mark. Thereabouts. I think you'll get any Highland Outdoor stockers will stock some of the infrared stuff. So. Yeah, I really like it, man. There's very, very little I could be overly critical about with it. It's a fantastic piece of kit. The heat sources, there's a couple of different modes on it. One thing I like, which is available in the Infra app, when you go into your Infra app, unlike probably the ATN app, when you go in, there's a multitude of stuff. So it's like actually it's a brochure. So it shows you all the different models, so you can compare them. All the different models that's available. Then you can have multiple devices on it. And then when you go into it and you look at your device files, it actually puts them into folders. Do you know what I mean? So rather than having to sift down through hundreds of pictures or whatever, it'll literally put it up into folders. And then you can go in and there's an option on it. You can sync the last 3 days activity, or you can sync all activity. So say, for instance, if you were out, say, today and you took a couple of images and you were out 4 weeks ago and you took images, but obviously you're not too bothered with them. It's the ones you want. It's the ones you want from last night. So you have an option there. No, just give me the ones that I've recorded over the last 3 days. So that's another handy little piece of kit. But a good
and
bit of
where does it sit, Brenny, in terms of the range of infrared? Is this their low range machine, mid range?
I would say there's infrared thermal models available for. Don't quote me on this. I think there's some new pricing coming out over the next couple of weeks. Maybe a shade over €800, maybe even a little bit
Yes.
less. So I'd say it's probably kind of mid range on what's
Mid-range, yeah.
available out
Yeah.
there. And as we all know, man, it goes on. It's whatever you want to spend. Like honestly,
Yeah.
it is whatever you want to spend. But I think this ticks all the boxes for me. If you wanted probably even more picture quality and clarity, you can spend a few more bob on it. For me and for what I do, this is absolutely perfect for what I do anyway. What
Yeah,
we
no,
do.
look, I think with handheld thermals, look, it's dependent on how I look at it. And look, if your pockets are that deep, you can, as you say, and there's models there that'll facilitate your deep pocket. But
Yes.
like that, if you're doing like probably this is my opinion on it.
Mm-hmm.
On all handheld thermals, you obviously want the imagery to be there, up to a certain range, shooting range and stuff like that.
Yeah.
After that, then you just want to know if there's something out there whether it's worth investigating or not.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, if you've deeper pockets, that range would be extended, so you won't have to do the trekking. But we are hunters, nonetheless. So I find this is my personally, if I was, a mid-range machine will from a handheld perspective anyway,
Mm-hmm.
whatever about the thermal scopes, I think I don't think you could have too good a machine, because the more clarity and the more you're gonna be pulling the trigger on something. But on this, it's only giving you, with a handheld thermal, it's giving you the look. There's something lurking behind them trees, and then when you get up to it, yeah, that's a fox. So like that. I personally think that's very good value for that type of machine.
Yeah.
Is it necessary to spend any more on the handheld thermal? I don't know. Look, at people will say yes, some people will say no. My perspective, I think that's yeah, it's probably all we would. I think I would speak for you as well. That's probably all we would require, isn't it? You're not,
Absolutely. Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
No,
You know what I'm trying to
absolutely.
get at?
I do absolutely 100%. There's a good friend of mine recently purchased a handheld thermal from, I think it was a company over in the UK. I can't actually remember the make of it. It's not a make that I've ever really heard tell of before, but this whole unit was, I think, delivered and all about €500. Right. What would I say about it? It would do the job, kind of.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. But unlike, I suppose, how would you say, unlike a pair of runners, right? You can go to, I don't know, something like pennies or whatever, buy a pair of runners for €30. Or you could go to Sports Direct or whatever and buy a pair of runners for €90. They will do more or less the same thing. It's a brand that you're. Do you know what I mean? If you know what I'm saying, it's a brand you're going for the piece. But I think when it comes to technology like this, that's not the case. I think the ones that are 2 and 3 times the price will become evident the very minute you put it to your eye.
Yeah.
Why it is the price that it is, and I think that's just the way it is. And whether you want to, make the sacrifices and go with the €500 one, or you want the hamburger with a lot and you want to go for the $6,000 one, that's completely up to
Absolutely.
you and where you fall.
Yeah, and I think you rightly kind of clarified a little bit what I was trying to get at. If you go for the lower range models, right? Well, then it's going to tell you that there's something there. You're not going to be able to make out to the clarity. You know what I'm saying? Of like the machines that we've been testing over the last while. 300-400 yards. You're going to make out what that. You can tell nearly almost what sex the animal is. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? By and large, and then obviously then the more money you spend, the more range and the more highly pixelated quality that you get.
Yes.
But I think on the lower range stuff, it wouldn't be. I would much rather spend the money on the mid range stuff. Would I personally spend $6,000 on a handheld thermal? I don't think I would.
No.
That'd be just me. I think in around the $2.5 grand. In around that kind of ballpark, you're getting extremely good quality. You're gonna make out what the animal is quite clearly, and you're going to be able to judge the distance by and large a good bit. As I say, it's slightly different when you're going on a scope and stuff. You're going to need that kind of. I believe you're going to pull a trigger on something. You're going to need to be 100% sure. You're going to have the, and that's why I wouldn't be as I follow some of the pages there, which the kind of the cheap add-ons onto scopes and stuff like that. And I'm
Yeah,
just, geez,
yeah.
I don't know how. Whatever about handheld, you can't pull the trigger on handheld. But what I'd hate is, as well as a lot of the smaller machines or the cheaper machines, is that for somebody to be saying that, oh, geez, you're making that out. That looks like a fox in the handheld, and then put up the gun. I hope well, I hope there's none of them out there anyway, first and fucking foremost. But
Yeah.
like in any gig, there's madness in every gig.
Indeed,
But,
there is, man. Without a shadow of a doubt. Yeah, absolutely, man. Without a doubt.
You said the big things I'd point out there. Obviously, the cover, fantastic. Fucking you'd mentioned that, and it wasn't something that I had thought of. But geez, they're listening to you, Benny. That's a good.
Yeah, well, I won't even take credit. They're listening to someone.
I know they're listening to you. They're listening to fucking definitely, man. Take the credit. It's very good.
But it's look, that's one good thing. There's loads of other things. 5 times magnification. There's an adapter on the bottom of it. You can put it onto like a spot and scope if you want to, or whatever. It fits nicely into the palm of your hand. I like it, man. I can't say much more about it than that. I like it.
Brilliant stuff. Down to it. Out of the 10, what do you think?
Out of 10, I'd give it 9 out of 10, man. The only thing I'd be only shaving a pint off is that charger. I'm kind of old school. I get why there's a magnetic charger on them, but just my own thing. I just like to bang, plug it in, and away you go. But that's
similar to that. I would be as well. I'm not a fan of even the phone, the wireless charging the phone, because I woke up and the fucking thing hasn't been. I thought it was on charge, and you look at it and it's at 2%, and you're oh Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I know. So, I think it's just we're fucking dinosaurs, man.
We're clotty, big fucking awful.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the finesse way of putting it. So look, for people who are more kind of finessing and all that kind of stuff, they'll probably have to as we will have in the new prep studio, or in studio prep area. I have a little thing for all our charging points, so when we come in for the cup of tea, I have USB sockets all above the counter and stuff like that. So
savage. I've seen it, man. It looks wicked. I've seen some that have been following on the videos and stuff. It's a super cool job, man. It's deadly.
We're getting there. We'll hopefully have a fridge hopefully next week, and
nice.
So
nice.
I was digressing there. 9 out of 10 for the Infrared i3. Brilliant stuff.
Yes, absolutely.
Worth a few bob, and check them out in Highland Outdoors if they want to, or any Highland Outdoors stockists.
Yes, absolutely. They're there, and there's a whole range of other stuff. So you can have a bit of a look around, as the fella says, have a bit of a browse. They're there. Jump onto their Infrared website, or whatever, and you'll see it. That's enough about Infrared now. This was the next thing. We don't officially know what we're going, but I'm just putting a wager on, man. Who's going to have the rifle first? Because in theory, it could be you.
Yeah, well, the post hasn't come in the post today, my license. So that means
it could be you, because you've got to go. All you've literally got to go is just go and pick it up when you get your license. Yeah. Mine is down in with Dom getting a few bits tweaked on it. So I wonder, it's the battle. It's not the battle, but it's the race. Bergara versus Howe. Which will land first?
Yeah, which will land first. And then, obviously, I have a bit of work to do when I get mine. I have to get rails on mine. I have to get mounts, which John in Thomas Jacks is kindly organising for me. And
nice.
Then I have to get the scope on, get it zeroed. We have to get down. I think we're heading down to a good mate of the podcast, Stevie White, has a chrono, so we're going to get our ballistic set up and get our scope.
I feel a bit of a competition coming on here. I feel a bit of a competition.
Oh yeah, there's gonna be fucking nothing left to chance here, man. This is going to be no fucking messing. So I can't wait. Obviously, this is my first dialable scope, so I'm going to have be like fucking learning all over again. Now I've been promised that's obviously I've been out shooting loads of times with people with dialable scopes, and it all makes sense, and it's all very, very easy when you're not shooting at something that has 4 legs and a hip of antlers. So
I know 100%. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you're saying. But I tell you just one thing now, and we're going to have to wrap this up. But one thing when you're choosing a scope, right? And it was Dom that brought this to my attention, and I could have went for maybe a dialable scope. I had a dialable scope on my previous gun. I've opted not to go for this one, and
Okay.
purely down to that 3 letters that we spoke about earlier on, FOV, field of view.
Yeah.
And for me, the benefits of the wider field of view just ticked more box for me. It was more relevant to me. I like it. Kind of captures the light. It just worked for me. So yeah, it was an interesting one. Just because
You can imagine, you're switching back to what I'm coming from, and I'm going up to yeah. You look,
yes, yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, I think look at the what I'm hoping to do now is just I suppose start pushing out the distance a little bit. Just given I think focus my mind down in Clare last year with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
There's areas probably that we're going to be starting to cover over the next while,
Mm-hmm.
and we're both hoping to bring in a little bit more, encompass a little bit more land this year.
Mm-hmm.
That we can head off for a weekend and maybe have 2 or 3 different spots and maybe a chance at a couple of different species.
Mm-hmm.
And like that, there's going to be areas where I'm not. I was normally shooting in areas where pushing maybe 200, 250 yards was kind of the max. Due to the lie of the land and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But some of the land now that we're covering, I'd like to be able to push out a little bit more if
Mm-hmm.
possible. Now that's all very well in theory. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's my theory behind it. But when it comes to it, look, you could very well find me back with another scope. But I think, you have to experience it before we make. And we're both doing that, so we're both switching. So that's a very interesting topic that will keep people. Because I didn't know what scope you had landed on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
I'm going with it'll be a GPO. It'll be one that's I suppose new enough, maybe in certain ways to the Irish market. Maybe not a lot of people have heard of them, but yeah, that's what I'll be using. So
very good.
We will see how she goes, as the fella says.
And come here, do you mind me asking you then? What are you going to zero the rifle at?
100 yards.
100 yards.
Yeah, 0 ever at 100 yards, and then go from there. Yeah. That's okay. Right. What are you thinking? What are you going to do with it?
Oh well, I'll 0 100, and then obviously I can dial in then thereafter. It's just Like I know with my previous scope, I was like what you said. I had I was dialing in 100, and I had one little where my fat crosshair met my small crosshair. The slightly bigger crosshair at the bottom. I knew that was where them two intersected. That was 150 for me, and then after that, then I was you were lining holdovers and stuff like that. So, but yeah, that was that's the different. What do you say? The different theories and scopes. So that'll be interesting for our listeners.
It will.
To, you know what I mean? Because I know this is a conversation that goes on up and down the country. Old school hunters prefer the kind of the older style scopes, and I'm not saying that refers to older people. I just mean the old style of hunting.
Yeah. No, I get you.
Yeah, so I would class myself as in the older category. So, it's going to be interesting to say the least.
Interesting. Here's an interesting question for you. What are the 2 lenses on any scope called? Do you know what this is? I was just reading up on this last night and I learned it because I wanted to learn it. The 2, the way essentially your 2 lenses, the one you look through and the one that the light comes through, I suppose.
Yeah, and I did read this, and it's not going to be a surprise when I hear it, but I cannot fucking think of a spreading.
Yeah. So the one that you're looking through, I suppose, initially is your ocular lens, and the one at the front of the scope is your objective lens.
Objective, yeah.
There you go. You learn something new every day. You learn something new every day. Lots to talk about. We're going to put loads of stuff through the place. We've a lot of people send us stuff. Well, with talking wants to send us stuff to try out, so we're just going to put a bit of a plan together, and we'll take them over a couple of weeks. So we don't want to. There's no point getting something and leaving it sitting here for 6 weeks. So we might as well just get it when we're ready. And
yeah, exactly. But just before we wrap it up, we have been talking before the podcast kicked off. We're hopefully we're going to jazz up the introduction or the jingle on the podcast. If we're debating, we want people's opinions. Should we? Shouldn't we? If we should, what would we're and this is non-negotiable. I think both of us are kind of country rock style. We don't want to lose that. I think
like a bit of that or a bit of bluegrass and stuff. Yeah,
absolutely. Exactly. That kind of keep a country feel. So yeah, if there is, what would you like, and or if there's somebody who wants
Yeah,
to get on
absolutely.
board and help us maybe record a little jingle, so that just
Absolutely, yeah. If there's
yeah,
any junior sound engineers out there or something like, or somebody that can help us out in that end of it, definitely do, and we'll pay you. We don't want it for nothing.
yeah, no,
And also putting it out there as well, we've some big plans for some YouTube channel stuff coming up. So if you are even an amateur videographer, someone that likes being outdoors and creating content and stuff like that, get in contact with us. You'll get us obviously Instagram, Facebook at the Irish Hunting Podcast, or Gmail, the Irish Hunting Podcast at gmail.com.
yes,
Last thing I want to say is, can you do us one favor? Obviously, we do all this on our own bat. We put a lot of time and money into it and stuff like that. So we don't ask for anything in return. But would anyone would just be able to go over to Spotify and just give us a 5-star rating and jump onto iTunes as well? It means a massive help to us to try and helps us get everything done, and I suppose seen in the avenues that we want to be seen, and keeps us being able to do this. I suppose it's the big thing, isn't it?
Look, I think we've reached a kind of a crossroads in the podcast, as we were saying. We obviously have a big following now, and it's kind of the numbers are they're ever growing. But we've seen an initial shoot for stars, and it's sort of plateauing, and we're kind of creeping along nicely. But I think as well, I noticed with the social media stuff, and I actually heard a few people during the week, that a lot of stuff in terms of hunting and stuff like that, there's algorithms and mechanisms that, unfortunately for the world that we live in now, prevents that to being visible, and prevents it growing at probably the rate that we know it would grow at. Now every day there's new followers and stuff like that. But like this, as Brenny was saying, it would just help us a little bit, give us a like and follow. There's a competition on Instagram there. Even the people who have the podcast, get on board and jump on, share and follow, like and tag and all that kind of jazz. And it'll help us just improve our visibility and keep us doing what we want to do, and bringing the hunting news and hunting stories to the masses.
Exactly, 100%, without a shadow of a doubt. Right,
Brennan,
we'll wrap it up.
I have to go and get me breakfast.
I have to go and get your breakfast, go and collect kids and get dinner, and go to the bog then. Don't even fucking start. But anyway.
Head down, arse up. Yep.
Head down, arse up. Enjoy the bank holiday weekend, everyone. If you're heading out for a bit of a shot or fishing, enjoy yourselves, have a crack, and send us on any pictures of that you get. And have a good one.
Brenny, have a good weekend.
Take it easy. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Over now, buddy.
Bye-bye.